I haven't done a comic page in years. What would be the best way to get back into it? Starting small? That's for losers. The answer is signing up for an international contest with cash prizes a couple months for a deadline and all the pressure in the world. Of course, nothing can go wrong. A long time ago, back in high school, young me had a dream of becoming a mangaka and making a living off of telling my own stories. And just as with most people with big dreams, reality had other plans for me. To be fair, teenage me assumed that I would need to do art and stories on the side anyways. And I started doing just that by making short stories, writing prose, and then moving on to a webcomic. But even then, life was not happy with that compromise. So I had to push comics, art, and even stories aside for a while. Being like 10 years or more. On the bright side, I was able to come back to art and writing eventually. Of course, the itch to make comics, or manga, whatever you wish to call what I do, was still there. I guess that for the longest time, I just didn't feel ready. I needed something to push me into it. That's when I saw Clip Studio, not sponsored, International Comics Contest, and I thought, surely now is the time to give it my all, right? To make things short, I started with one idea, took too long to develop it and start, then moved on to another idea, also took too long to start, and finally moved on to another smaller idea, only to run out of time and do absolutely nothing. Was it frustrating? Yes. Demotivating? You bet. But I was left with a couple of ideas to make a comic with. The second idea was for an 11-page horror story, and, well, I wanted to do a comic, right? So why not start it anyways? And this time, I could just take my time, being patient with myself to establish a good practice and healthy habits. I got the idea while I was falling asleep one night. It was about the sea and a depressed young woman. I started working with that idea in my mind. Since it was so short, it didn't take as much time to develop it as longer stories. When I was ready, I dumped it all onto a Word document. The initial draft was a chunky paragraph. After that, I started developing it into a script. My scripts just show what page it is, what panel, a description of what's in the panel, and the dialogue if any. I just need to know what's happening. Since I'm the one who'll be drawing the pages, I don't need to be that specific. After I was done, I showed it to my partner for feedback, then came back and edited it until I was happy with the result. It's amazing the things you miss when you're the one writing. With my script ready, I moved on to the thumbnails. I decided to use an analog mock-up of what the printed pages would look like. It helped give me a sense of how it would be read and where everything would go. This is the hardest part of the process for me since it takes a lot of creative power and raw thinking. I used the empty spaces above and below to do smaller thumbs of how the panels will be arranged. I like playing around with different options before settling on a final one. That is something I learned from my old webcomic, which was pretty useful here. After that, I was ready for pencils. It's not my favorite part, but I do get to kind of turn off my brain here. I didn't do any character design sheets because I thought, well, it's just a short story anyways. And I don't like character sheets. And I'm lazy. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the ass. On the first page, I have 3 characters. There's a total of 4 and they're all women. I've thought about whether they should be a mixed group instead, but I'm not great at drawing men. Making a comic was enough of a challenge, so I decided to keep this one in my comfort zone. I was also originally going to work on the pencils for the pages all at once, then ink all of them, etc. But I need the dopamine right now, and there's nothing like seeing a finished page. I'll need that to keep me going. Also, I decided to do everything digitally. Originally, it was because of the contest, but now I just want to see what I can do with Clip Studio, not sponsored. How did this part go? Well, the bane of all artists got me, but at this point I'm used to hands being an issue. So if I struggle too much, I just take a photo of my own hands and work with that. The real problem was my nemesis, perspective. I should eventually study it. I think I was able to do something decent in this page with the backgrounds despite my perspective issues though. The anatomy did cause me a few issues here and there, but nothing that couldn't be made to look decent. That would have definitely been harder if some of these characters were men instead, I can tell you that. After working everything out, I made the final pencils as clear as I could, meaning I only needed to see what was going on in order to ink it. I chose blue for the final pencils to make the inks stand out. I was then ready for my favorite part. I love traditional inking. Digitally, it was never my forte. I found doing digital lines to be awkward and unnatural. You know that feeling when you have a great sketch only for it to be ruined after inking? That was what was happening to me in digital. Since I was still keen on doing this fully digitally, I needed to practice a lot. I did that by tracing some manga pages, then doing some sketches, and then inking some of those sketches. But I still didn't feel ready to ink this comic. But it was actually a really interesting experience. Does it feel like analog inking? Well, no. But I definitely felt more comfortable with it as I went along. I started to get a sense of satisfaction as well. The main issues I had though was with the digital features. That is to say, the things that make it easier to do digital art, ironically enough. That would be zooming in and Ctrl-Z. Ctrl-Z makes it so easy to keep trying for a perfect line, but it's a trap that can waste a lot of time. So I had to be very aware of this and avoid it. And zooming in, that would make things easier to draw, right? Well, yeah, but adding so much detail to a small panel makes things wonky. That was the case with the second panel. I had to fix things because of that. Everything else was a breeze though. The main character's hair was a struggle due to its texture, but I still enjoyed drawing it. As long as the inks look good, the screen tones should be easy, right? I wanted to give screen tones a try. I've never used them before and they really give pages that finished manga look. So how hard could they be? I knew that I needed not to use them like color and not use them everywhere. Just stick to a few patterns and I should be good. I had to look up a few tutorials on how to create tones. I wanted them for three main things: shadows, textures, and skin tones. The last one because the main character has dark skin. This is where I learned that layering skin tones is not exactly easy. I had to play around with different tones for the base skin and find something that didn't look weird with the shadows. And then there was the hair. I wanted to have a tone to show texture with the same character and then add highlights. It turned out that the inks didn't exactly look good on her puffy pigtails, so I had to ring them with the tone in mind. I was starting to regret my design decisions with this character, but I wasn't going to go back. I had to eventually learn how to do this, so there's no time like the present. I eventually settled on something that looked okay. I have to look at more tutorials to see if anything can be done about that pattern, but for my sanity, I decided to leave it as is. The lettering is the final step in this process. It's not really my favorite part, but it will be what makes it look finished, as in actually finished. I sorted through different fonts and didn't like any, so I went online and searched for comics fonts. Back with my old webcomic, I had done the lettering by hand at the beginning, and it's really time consuming, so I wanted to try with a regular font instead. I eventually found a font I liked and started checking what size would look best. Next were the word balloons. You probably noticed that I had already added them on the thumbnails. That's because I wanted to know about how much space they would take up, and it makes the process easier down the road. I also like to sketch out the general shape of the balloons as well. Originally, I wanted to draw them by hand, but they were looking really ugly when I tried it. So instead, I used the word balloon tools. I was able to make them look organic while still looking clean enough. And here's the final page. Setting aside the weird pattern thing, I really like how it turned out. And I even feel like this page made me level up my skills. I still have the other pages to go, but I got the groundwork down. It should be smooth sailing from here. I just hope I didn't just jinx myself. So I'll be uploading the next part of this series as I work on the next pages. I'm still trying to get the hang of this and make it a habit, but I'll try not to take too long. At least not 10 years long. Anyways, thank you for watching!